With the fact that SCHD's ex-dividend date is right around the corner now, and the reality that I'm currently holding more shares of this ETF than ever before, I thought it'd be kind of fun to go through and make a video and share with you guys how many shares of SCHD I'm currently holding throughout all my portfolios combined. On top of that, I want to share with you exactly how much dividend income I'm expecting for this next dividend payout in early December. Then later I'm going to share with you guys some shocking numbers and show you what the math looks like if I continue to buy SCHD shares and they continue to compound until I'm around 60 years old, and I'm currently 32 right now. So if you hold on to shares of SCHD, I promise you're going to want to stick around until the end. If you are a dividend investor who wants to level up your portfolio, you need to be tracking your dividend income consistently. And that's why I created the perfect dividend tracker that I've used to scale my dividend income up to all-time highs over the last year. Now, along with this dividend tracker, you're also going to receive my A to Z dividend investing ebook, which shows you how I personally started from $0 several years ago to now where I earn over $7,500 per month in dividends. So if you want this tracker and the ebook, go to the first link down below in my description and grab it today. Now, just to lay some simple groundwork across all my portfolios as of right now, I'm currently holding on to 2,215 shares of SCHD at an average cost per share of around $25 more or less. Now, what's cool about this is that this gives me a yield on cost of somewhere around 4% more or less, and this is because I was able to buy so many shares of SCHD when it was much cheaper than it is currently. Now, I also want to be transparent and share with you guys that throughout the rest of this year, I am going to be aggressively buying more and more shares of this ETF. And this is simply because I really want to finish out the year with this being one of the largest positions across my entire portfolio. And although as of right now, it is up there in that realm, I really want to make SCHD one of the biggest and have it front and center when you look through my portfolio as a whole. Now, along with that, as I get older, I do want to have more and more positions that are going to be offering dividend growth in the future. And this basically means that whatever amount of shares I have as of right now, and I'm set to earn a certain amount of income right now, I want to earn more and more later on. Now, an easy visual of this is something that I built. Currently, I have 2,215 shares of this ETF, and as of right now, I'm currently getting paid around 98 cents per share per year. Now, this equals around $2,170 per year in income, or around $180 per month in dividends. Now, with a 10% dividend growth rate set in, which is somewhere around where SCHD offers, that means that next year, by the end of next year at least, we're talking almost $2,400 in income or over $200 more. And this is if I simply do not buy another single share. Now, also later on in the future, if SCHD does continue to raise their dividends by 10 or so percent, which again, who knows, you can see that the income over time is going to be substantial. Now, the next thing I want to talk about specifically is the fact that SCHD does have an ex-dividend date up and coming within the next several weeks. It's probably going to be somewhere in around early December. Now, the last December dividend in 2023 that SCHD did pay was 25 cents per share, which was up substantially from the previous year at 23 cents per share. Now, keep in mind, all these numbers are post-split, so it might seem a little bit confusing. You might be saying, well, what the heck, SCHD only paid that much? These are all post-split adjusted numbers. So to go back in time, 25 cents was in 2023, 23 cents was in 2022, and then back in 2021, we're talking 21 cents per share. Now, this means that just going off of basic numbers, we could be assuming that SCHD could pay anywhere from around 27 cents, maybe upwards of 28 cents in this up and coming December. Now, this would be around a 9 to 10 or 11% dividend amount increase, which we've seen in the past, and which would be awesome. Now, just based off these previous numbers, I want you guys to comment down below what you think the SCHD dividend is going to be for the up and coming month. Take a second and comment down below your best guess. So now that I share with you guys how many shares of SCHD I have as of right now and what I personally think the next future dividend payout is going to be, based off my personal best guess, I wanted to go through and type in the amount of shares of this ETF I personally have throughout my portfolios, stick it into a dividend calculator because this is something that a lot of people have asked me for as of recently. People are constantly saying, well, what would happen later on if you just kept buying SCHD? Someone actually also asked me as of recent, what would happen if you never bought another share? What would the future look like for your shares? And although I can personally extrapolate out to some degree, I thought it'd be kind of fun to add this in a video because I'm curious also. Now, the other crazy thing is that I did this a long time ago on a video, maybe a year or so ago, and the numbers as of right now are significantly different, and this is simply because I own so many more shares of this ETF than I used to. So going off of these numbers, and again, these are all just estimated numbers, with 2,215 shares of SCHD, with an initial annual dividend yield of around 3.8%. Remember, a lot of my shares were purchased with above a 4% yield on cost, but just going off of 3.8%. An expected annual dividend amount increase of 10%. Now, will SCHD be able to do this? Will it be bigger? Will it be smaller? Your guess is as good as mine. I think we're probably going to see somewhere around 10% though over the next 10 years. Now, with an expected annual share price appreciation of 4%, 30 years invested, an annual contribution of $20,000 on top of my shares being reinvested. Now again, will I in the future keep buying $20,000 more every year of SCHD? Will I buy less than this? Will I buy more than this? Honestly, only time will tell. As of right now, I'm sort of planning on buying a lot more than this for the next few years, but let's just go with $20,000 just to make things easy. Now the quarterly distribution is going to be reinvested, so DRIP is going to be turned on. This means that all the dividends I'm going to be receiving over the years theoretically will be invested into more shares of SCHD. Now this is also something I don't necessarily do. I do not have DRIP turned on in my portfolio, but as a lot of you guys know, I purchase so many shares of SCHD consistently that I might as well have it turned on. So going over these numbers, this was pretty shocking. And again, these numbers are all just to be estimated. Who even knows what will happen in the future? But with my current 2,215 shares owned as of right now, I'm looking at somewhere of around $2,400, $2,500 per year in dividends, which sounds about right. Now, after the annual contribution of $20,000 and the dividends being reinvested, by year number 2, we're already talking almost 3,000 shares of the ETF, which will pay me around $3,500 per year. Now the crazy thing about an ETF like SCHD, which offers a relatively small yield to start with, but has massive dividend growth, at least it has historically. For the first few years, it's not really going to seem like all that much is happening. Even though the dividend amounts are going up actually pretty quickly, it still isn't necessarily enough money to really get super excited about. But I would say after a year and maybe 5, 6, 7, things start to get a little bit crazy. And this is simply because as you reinvest those dividends and as you add more contribution year after year, and on top of that, as the ETF pays you more in dividends, if all three of those things happen at the same time, magic is going to happen for the portfolio. Now, what I mean by this is that by 8 years in, we're already talking almost 8,000 shares of SCHD with over $16,000 per year in dividends. Now, again, this is just based off my current amount of shares and a $20,000 annual contribution, which again is not necessarily crazy considering what I'm currently doing. Now, if we were to go out a little bit further, it's probably going to take around 15 years or so for me to get up to 14,000 plus shares. And at this point, we're talking over $60,000 per year in dividends. Now, what's also crazy is that by this point, the portfolio value will be somewhere around $850,000 based off these numbers. Now, I'm currently 32 years old as of filming this video, so 20 years down the road, I would be 52 years old and I could own over 23,000 shares, which would pay me around $161,000 per year in dividends just based off these numbers. Now, all the way at the bottom, again, take this all with a grain of salt, but we're talking 82,000 shares of this ETF, and I would be 62 years old at this point and earning upwards of $1.4 million per year with a $9,000 plus portfolio. Now, the reality is for me specifically, at least unless something changes, I'm not only going to be buying SCHD next year, the year after that, the year after that. I want to take my cash balance and buy into different asset types, different stocks and ETFs. And although I love this ETF and it will probably be one of my largest holdings forever, there's absolutely no way I'm going to keep reinvesting into just one ETF forever. But still, the numbers are pretty incredible. And like I said earlier, by year number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, the numbers really start to get bigger and the power of compound, the snowball effect, really starts to curl up to where, in my opinion, the numbers are sort of unbelievable. So now that we talked about the up and coming next dividend date, and I share with you guys my personal guess as far as the future dividend amounts, along with what could potentially happen if I just kept holding, buying and reinvesting SCHD until I'm 62 years old. I lastly want to hear from you guys down below. If you currently own this ETF, whether it's 1 share, whether it's 1,000,000 shares, how many shares across your portfolios are you currently holding on to? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.